Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Start off by giving tzedakah, gedel tzedakah, shmekar tzedakah, and we're gonna continue davening for the hostages, and we're gonna focus on today on Noah bat Mali. Mitzvah Hashem, healthy and safe, and Mitzvah Hashem, all the hostages should come back healthy and safe, and Israel shall have true peace and true proper peace, not these things that they're on discussion on the table, but things that actually bring about security and safety, that people can live in a relaxed calmness. And so too with us in our own lives, we should be relaxed and calm, especially in Adar. We should be very joyous and only recognize only reasons to be happy. Especially we get up and we get to learn Chassidus. Okay, we're on the bottom of page 289. And basically we're having this whole discussion, really elaborating and getting into this whole process of how it all works, of what we get throughout the year. That starts in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur and ends off daily. And so then we had a question, those opinions, Rav Yossi, Rav Nasson, basically they're saying it's every day, every hour get judged. And so if it's every day and every hour, so what's happening in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? Seemingly every moment is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And we said, of course, they believe in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. What's going on over here? And they're saying, ultimately, that just because it said to you in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, how much you're going to have, that doesn't mean you're going to be able to access it. It's like someone says to you, I'm going to give you whatever. I'm going to give you something, but you have to go get it from them. One thing they say they're going to give it to you. The other thing is actually going to get it. And it could be that the time you need to get it, they're not going to be available. That's a whole, it's only half of it, what's being set on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The other half is sort of the most important part of it, is that getting it when you need it. And that comes every day and every moment based off what we're doing. Kitzvas HaChesed, Shiur shel Chol Ha'olam B'chlal, L'chol Bir B'frat. And the judgment of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is the decree of what we're going to get, and every single person in particular what they're going to get. B'frat Kama me'achesed niktav elav, and specifically how much of the chesed we're going to get. That's set for us. V'zeu ikar adin. And this is the main judgment that's happening. And on this judgment, everything's dependent. Because according to the plentifulness of the chesed is how it's going to be the bracha. If during Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur we only get set a very little bit amount of chesed, as we explained before, you test parak base. If we set aside a lot, if we manage to get a lot of chesed, so then it could come out in Banei Chaim Zoni, in everything, in all the three categories that everything sort of comes under. And sometimes it's not possible for whatever reason. Hashem has decreed that it's not going to work that way. Only two of them, only one of them. Now, of course, Hashem knows what's best. Hashem knows which one where. But we're meant to do our job. And we're meant to do our parts. Hashem's going to give us parnasa, and it's said how much parnasa we can make 1 cent more than what has been decreed for us. But that doesn't mean we don't do anything. We have to do the ishtadlus, do the efforts, go to work, open up the business, do the keli for it, but it's all coming from the Eibishter. It's all Hashem's doing. And this is what we're saying here. That, of course, Hashem's going to give us what we need, but we have to do our efforts in it. And sometimes Hashem's decided that we're only meant to have two. And sometimes, so we have to put in the effort to make sure to get the right two, and things like this. I mean, even if it's going to be that we're going to get in all three of Banei Chaim, all the good things that we need. There's also a question. We might get all three, but we might get only a little bit of all three. Whereas we might be getting 2 and having a lot of those 2. And for every person, it could be different requirements. And this is dependent on the general decree of the Chesed, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippurim, that happens on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. To the whole world, a love befrat, and specifically to us. If it's a lot, or not. And so what we're seeing here is on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, that's why on Rosh Hashanah the world, especially in Chabad world, Rosh Hashanah was a very, it's more strict than Yom Kippur. Why? Because Rosh Hashanah is being said how much we're going to get of all this. Yom Kippur, it's sort of defined more. But the main beginning of it is Rosh Hashanah. Crown Hashem is king. We're getting set for the year, how it's going to be, how much is in the storehouse. As much as we want to daven during the year, so to speak, according to what we're saying, as much as we want to daven, let's say you have an amazing davening, you daven for the right things, but if it's empty, it's empty. If you don't have anything in the storehouse, you're not going to get that much. Whereas you need to have both. You need to have a lot in the storehouse, and then when you daven and you ask for your needs and you do the right things, there's from what to gather from. It's like, and you could use it in many ways, but like in Israel, one of the things that they've mechadish, like novelties that they've managed to accomplish, is being able to grow like fruit, vegetables, and stuff like that in harsh environments, and it's called a drip irrigation system, which basically it has like a hose with little holes, and so it drips little drops into exactly what's needed. So it's quality versus quantity. So even though it could be that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur wasn't that good, but if we do our job properly, so those drips can make a very big difference. Drips coming in the right place. And so really you want both. You want to have plentiful of water, and you want to have these drips. Nevertheless, even though we're talking about the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, how much we're getting, there's another judgment specifically for every day. What's going to come out of this chesed? For example, if it was set based on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, comes today, and it's been decreed that today we're going to have the two of the 3. So the question is, is it based on Miyah? Im Banei v'Chaye, is it going to be with our children and our Chaye and our health? We're going to have an energized day, full day. Our kids are going to be nice and healthy and full of energy. Or is it going to be we're making a lot of money today? V'Chaye, and it could be that we're also works in our health. Akademer. Okay, similarly, like I explained before, like the story of the Baal Shem Tov, that the guy was only decreed 2 out of 3, and one of them was being wealthy, and it was taking away from being able to have kids, and that's how it was set for him. And the Baal Shem Tov was able to daven for him to take away the money, and it would go towards the kids. Why is it that way? They couldn't have 3? We're not sure. But we know if Hashem is doing it, it must be good. Not always we can see it, but Hashem knows what He's doing. We know that much. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves. Not sometimes. Sometimes, even if it is possible to have all the 3, and even if it is decreed that we can have all 3 today, the question is, are we going to get all 3 to come out in the physical? Is it going to stay spiritual? Or is it going to be just put aside Leilam Haba? And they all can be good. But I think if anything we've learned from Chabad Chassidus, we want to come down here. Because Dir B'Tachteinim needs to be happening over here. So the more we can have over here, the more we can make a Dir B'Tachteinim. And that's the ikar. Ein nikar dayin mashim imenu hashba basiya. Being that what was decreed on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur doesn't actually mean, in a certain sense, doesn't mean anything for now in our physical world. She'ein sham toyar zeklal, because at that point there's no description of it. It's not that I mentioned in Kippur. It's like, okay, on March the 5th, on Chav Dalad, Adar Rishon, you're gonna make $10,000, or you're gonna have an amazing day. Your kids are gonna be healthy. You're all gonna be healthy. You're gonna make good choices. Your Yetzer Hara is gonna be weaker. And we're gonna make sure your Yetzer Tov is stronger. That's not how it works. That's what's happening with Shana and Kippur. It's all dependent on the Beis Din above. And this is according to our actions on today. So what I do today, the way I wake up, the way I start my day, and things like this, has the effect. And so too, and that is the judgment that's coming into the Bria, the world of Bria, from Atzilus to Bria. And that's Bria is where the judgment's coming. So how's it gonna practicalize? That's not even a word, but how's it gonna, practically speaking, come down into our physical world and have that idea? So we can recognize, I guess what we're saying here, we should recognize that we can have an impact on our day. V'nimtza, so shneim emes, so the birth true, the judgment of Rosh Hashanah Kippur, and what's going on in the daily judgments that's happening in the Bria, on the Beis Din Shel Maila. The Ikar Adina Al Hamshachas HaChesed Hu Rosh Hashanah, the main Yom Kippurim, the main judgment of what we're going to have is on Rosh Hashanah Kippur. And nevertheless, Yesh Din Mishpat Gomer B'chol Yom, there's a complete judgment every day. So ultimately, we're coming to see that it's both. It's the yearly and the daily, and we can't have one without the other. You need both of them. One of them is not less than the other. Yeah, and yeah, it's very interesting. There's a lot to can be discussed over here. But in simple terms, I guess when we come to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur this year, hopefully we'll have a little bit more of we'll remember this because it's a good more than 6 months from now. Yeah, it's about 6 months till Elul, so maybe Elul will still remember this. But when that time period comes, we realize that serious stuff is happening, and there's a big impact for our year. And of course, very important, we don't understand exactly how all this works. It's not like we've got it down to a science. This is happening, but we don't. So you can't come and say, "Oh, I didn't have a good Rosh Hashanah Kippur. I'm done for. It's gonna be a bad year." The Baal Shem Tov, for example, or the Rebbeim, they were privy to these things and they tapped into these things, so they could. And that's why sometimes it's talking about a story about the years of the Baal Shem Tov, like they saw him in Rosh Hashanah Kippur and he was in a very serious mood, and that scared everyone. Because he could see what was going on. Or the Rebbeim would daven for hours on the night of Rosh Hashanah, because crowning Hashem as king, and also seeing all these things. They can see things, but we can't. So we shouldn't come and decide ourselves, because, meaning we don't know what we do and what's happening. Meaning we might have an amazing Rosh Hashanah Kippur in our thoughts that we think is amazing, and it could be that a year doesn't plan out the way we thought about it. Whereas it could be that our Rosh Hashanah Kippur wasn't the way we thought it was going to be, but the year was an amazing year. Every year should be an amazing year. But we shouldn't come from this and say, "Oh, okay, I figured it out. I know it's going to be. I know what I need to do. If I just do these things, I'm going to have all the things that I want." It doesn't. We don't know how this all works, but we should know that that is what happens. Yeah, we'll do the kitzur. Kitzvas HaChesed, the decree of Chesed, the Atik, that comes from the world of Atik, which is, we've talked about before, it's above even Chachma, of Atzilus. B'Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim, Einu Boi Adayin Shum Tayar Minyanu Ilm Hazeh, which is expressed in Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, it doesn't have any physical form of it. Gam Bilti Mechulak Be'echus V'Kamus, it's also not divided how much quality and quantity yet. In the 3 categories, which really encompass everything. Ba'al zeh hu adin, on this is the judgment b'chol yom. And that's the daily judgment. Ladas Rabbi Yosi, b'chol shar, ladas Rabbi Nassan. According to Rabbi Yosi, the daily judgment. According to Rabbi Nassan, the hourly, the moment judgment. And every moment, according to Rabbi Nassan, we're being judged what's going to happen, we're going to get it. Again, like we said before, we don't know how this all works. Like we can't see it, but we should know that it's happening, and that what we do has an impact. When we wake up in the morning, this is sort of a practical take. We wake up in the morning. Today's a new day, and just because yesterday we can't, they say. My wife always told me there's a saying in Spanish. I don't know the actual saying, but the idea is you make a name for yourself, and then you can sit down and relax. I did good. My Shabbos was good, so I can relax now. And it doesn't work that way. What we're saying is every day and every moment has its avodah and has its job. And that's all we're learning here. And just because we had a good Rosh Hashanah and good Yom Kippur doesn't mean we don't have to do anything anymore. It means every day has its mitzvah, has its job. And that doesn't mean every moment I'm learning something. It means every moment I have to say to myself, what am I meant to be doing now? If it's meant to be eating breakfast, so let me eat breakfast, and a healthy breakfast. And let me say a bracha with kavanah. And when I go to work, let me do a good job at work. Let me be a good dugmachaya, make a kiddush Hashem, give some tzedakah. When it comes time to daven, let me daven with kavanah, turn off my phone. And every moment has its avodah. And we have to realize that makes a very big impact on how our day is going to play itself out. Mitzvah Hashem, for all of us, we should have an amazing day. And we should seize the opportunities that come to us. Have an amazing day.